Welcome, lads and lasses, to Dan Ventures Out. Today we are visiting Salt Pan Creek, checking out the walking tracks, fishing spots, as well as some other cool places along the river. Join me for this epic adventure, and if you've liked what you've seen here, please like, comment, and subscribe for more from me at Dan Ventures Out. And without further ado, let's get to it. Alrighty, let's be off. This walkway is dedicated to the memory of Patrick Rogan. There you go. A little worse for wear. We're starting down here. Gonna make our way to the train line, which should run underneath here, and possibly a bit further. Alright. We've made it to Salt Pan Creek walking track. Oh wow, looks like we got a high tide today. That's the way I want to go first as well. Don't get your feet wet. Yep, feet got wet. But this is the way I want to go, so it is what it is. It is so high, the tide today. Wow. Not even like 2 centimeters lower than the boards here. More flooding. Uh-oh, stepped in it then. Oh well. They'll dry before I get home. It's got a smell too. Must be all the rain from yesterday. It stormed a bit yesterday, and this water is so high. I've never seen it this high in my life. Anyway, we're going onto the bridge. So ordinarily on Salt Pan Creek down here, you'll have a lot of people fishing off the pier here. With the storm we had yesterday, it looks like nobody down here at all today. Not a soul. Fish just jumped over here. Well guys, this is the main spot for fishing along Salt Pan Creek walking track. We often see anglers here trying to catch themselves some fish. As you can see, it's a nice open area with the boardwalk here, and it does go onto the bridge where a lot of fish will congregate as well. We've got behind us here our legal bag and size limit for the fish around here as well. Try and zoom that in right now for you. But I know the main fish you can catch here are little flatties or flatheads, as well as bream. They're both extremely common, and there's lots of eels around as well. You can even see some people have put rod holders against the sides of the pylons here as well. Oh, Jesus. Some of the boards are floating on the water. Anyway, I'm gonna go up these stairs and take you to one of the official starts of the walk here, even though I've parked in a slightly different location. So the Salt Pan Creek track, which goes along the water's edge, joins up to the Henry Lawson Drive and is the main kind of closest road to the start of this walk. Well, I've actually come down to Salt Pan Creek here in the middle of the tides, hoping to catch the water going out and to show you how much change in the tide there is here. So today we're supposed to have a 1.9 meter high and a 0.2 meter low, and right now we're about 4 hours away from the low tide and about 2 hours past the high tide. But as you can see, the water is still extremely high, and that must be because of the storm we had come through last night. It's really congregated in this creek here. Gonna go real slow because there's a few birds on the rail on the left here. I know the one at the back is an ibis. I'll have to put on the screen if I can tell what the one in the front is. Actually, we got the ibis over here. Or as we like to call them in Australia, little bin chickens. Here he is. Excuse me, mate, I just want to come past. Go that way. That way. Thank you. Alrighty. Well, we've been to the one end. We're going to go towards the other end here as well of the track, which will come out near Riverwood. The train line near Riverwood there. It does go further, but I think I'll stop there for today because that's the main part of the creek that I want to look at. And for all intents and purposes, I'm trying to find myself a good spot for future videos, so parts near the creek there will be hopefully exactly what I'm after. Well, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but even in the last about 20 minutes when I went to the bridge and back, the water has dropped already a couple of centimeters, so it's really starting to move out. The boardwalk is no longer underwater over here, but we're going to continue this way. So a good amount of this track here is boardwalk over the edge of the mangroves here at Salt Pan Creek. You can also see behind me here there is a rocky sandstone formation as well, which is pretty cool to see right next to the water's edge here. We got some seating up ahead. Well, there are some seats, but I'm going to refrain from sitting on them because I've only just started my trek here, and if I stop now I probably won't get started again. So I'm going to keep going for now. Well, I should have said this earlier about the fishing in Salt Pan Creek here. It is recommended by the local government here that you do not consume fish caught here, because apparently there's pollutants in the water according to their website. So all the fishing done here is recreational, meaning that it's catch and release fishing. So you're absolutely cool to fish here if you have yourself a license. However, it's recommended to catch and release the fish that you find here. Another thing to note about the walk here is that it'll go through several different environments or types of environments. You have the area beforehand that had the shale and sandstone rocky outcroppings behind us while we're walking. Then you'll have like the mangrove style areas, which at the moment are covered by water. And you'll also get other different forest environments along the way as well, which we should come across reasonably soon. So Salt Pan Creek here was named by the European settlers because they were able to collect salt from the dried up mangrove areas in the low tides. So the water would dry up, the salt would form on the top of the mangroves, and they would harvest that salt for in their cooking. There you go. Now you can really see that the water is receding out of the creek here. I imagine within a couple of hours it'll be quite low. I'm actually running underneath a set of pipes that run over the creek here, and these are sewerage pipes. They run from the east side of the bank to the west side of the bank and underground for most of its other life. You can see just over on this side of the creek here, there is a little boat ramp over there with a little parking area. So I actually used to live really close to the river here, just a couple of streets away, and there were a few times where my dad and I would take the boat out along the creek here, go fishing, or take ourselves closer to the Georges River further up ahead. Apparently Salt Pan Creek catchment is 26 kilometers squared worth of area, which is actually a huge amount considering that it is not always being filled with water. So the catchment here at Salt Pan Creek flows with the tide. So there are parts of the catchment that will be completely submerged in higher tides, or like today after there has been a storm. When the tide recedes, all the mangroves become visible and you lose a lot of that area. Well, you can see here we've already moved environments here a little bit. So we've got a different type of tree lining the riverbank instead of the ordinary mangroves we had seen before. You can also see that the path here is considerably wider. This part of the path is meant for riding your push bikes along. Oh, looks like we have a playground over here. Here's our playground. It looks pretty decent. Swing, slide, monkey bars, the works really. There's some seating back there. We've got covered tables ahead and some public toilets as well. Not too shabby. Well, the door doesn't work on that dunny, so looks like we have no luck. There is a little drinking area here too. Not sure I'd be drinking from it though, because I brought my 1.5 litre bottle. We've got another change of environment here. We've got what looks to be a willow tree here. We also have, oh, I'm not sure of the name of these plants at the moment. Nice. Well, that's cool. I love the willow tree. I think these are called elephant ears. At least that's what we used to call them back at home. Well, on this side of Salt Pan Creek, you go through a few different suburbs. You start near Padstow Heights at Henry Lawson Drive, go through Padstow, and make your way all the way to Bankstown. If you follow the creek the whole way, it turns up right next to Bankstown train station. I just met a lovely gentleman walking his dog, and I was surprised to see that the tide was so high as well. I don't think that is very common along the creek here for the tide to be quite so high that it touches the boardwalk. Looks like we have a split in the track here. I'm not sure where the left goes. I'm gonna go on the boardwalk for the moment and see where it takes me. The boardwalk's creaking at me. Better be careful. I'll stand in the middle where the beam is in the middle as well, for a bit of extra safety, I think. Well, there we go. Looking pretty nice. The water's on the murky side, but I think that would have been just from the storm that came in recently. Nice place to go, I think. Paddle down this creek, go for a walk along the sides, do some fishing. Yeah. I remember as a young lad we used to come this way and we'd get to the point just here next to the bridge and there'd be absolutely no water here. So the water isn't very deep. On low tide, this whole area would just be mangroves and mud really. But in this high tide, you've got all of this area as well. Wow. Wow, look at the pillar there. Can you see the water receding? That is crazy. It is ripping through. As I said, the high tide was like 2 hours ago. It was at 10:30. It's now closer to 1 o'clock. And the low tide is at 5:30, so we're well into the tide reduction, but that is ripping through. Unfortunately, with the extreme high tide, we've got a lot of trash coming from the shoreline into the waterways now, so that is a bit of a shame. It's really dirty because of that as well. But it is cool to see this area full of water. I've never seen it like this before. You can see on the edge of the water here, there's actually a little bit of oil on the top of the water. It must have picked that up from the shoreline where there's normally no water, and all the dust, it could even be from all the vehicles that drive through the roads near here, just naturally leave off there oils and rubbers, and it's now all floating on top of the water here. I'm surprised I haven't seen many fish as of yet. Little tiddlers, sure, but no big fellas. I thought I might be able to see them up close because of the height of the water. And we're going to continue along here and try and get to Salt Pan Reserve. But that might come in the next installment of Dan Ventures Out. We'll have to wait and see. Made it back to the train bridge. And we can see on the side here, we've lost a lot of water. We're talking about a few, maybe 30, 40 centimeters it's dropped already. That was probably about an hour and a half ago I was here. You can see just how, train. You can see just how much tide we actually have on this boardwalk and on this creek. For it to change that much in such a short amount of time is pretty insane. This is going to be a big thing I need to be wary of. Even after dropping only a ½ meter, we can see there are sticks starting to appear in the water here. A lot of debris along the creek bed here, as well as all the mangrove spines as well, all the roots if you like. The thing I'll have to keep in mind. Wow, here we can see how much water has receded. This was right up to the concrete earlier today. Still got another 2.5 hours till low tide as well. So that's going to be something for me to consider as well. I've got to keep an eye on the tides if I want to do anything out here as well. For fishing as well as any other activity I might have a go at out here. Wow, we can really see the mangroves now. The tips of the roots are sticking way up out of the water now. Wow, the water that was here this morning is completely gone. I'm gonna head out to that bridge near Henry Lawson again, have a look at the difference in the tide that 3 hours can make. Well, how's that for a difference in the water level? Could be getting close to 1 meter lower than it was earlier today. Crazy. Crazy. Look how low it is in comparison. Now, if you remember this morning, parts of this boardwalk here were underwater. I really think this creek here could be a good place for my future videos. They do have the boat ramp over there. And yes, it's really nice that the Salt Pan Creek here joins to the Georges River, and from the Georges River it joins all the way back to our previous video at Simmos Beach, which is also part of the Georges River. Obviously there is several tens of kilometers between the river here and the Georges River at Simmos Beach, but still it's cool to note that they are all connected. Well guys, just about at the car now. Been walking for about the 3-hour mark now, maybe 3.5 hours, and have totaled 16,000 steps and 11 kilometers. Not too shabby, but I am completely buggered. Really like the walk along Salt Pan Creek here. I think a good stopping point would be the bridge just near the train line, near Riverwood Station. For most people, that gives you a good mix of all the different types of environments we've seen, as well as the flora and fauna. We got to see a bunch of cool spots along the river as well. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this adventure. If you like what you've seen here, please like, comment and subscribe for more from me at Dan Ventures Out. I'll see you guys the next time we venture out.